Very good morning to all. Today we will continue with the disorders of menstrual cycle. In the previous class we have discussed regarding the amenorrhea. Okay. If you have any doubt in that topic you can ask me. Okay. Next topic, that is a premenstrual syndrome. Okay. The name itself can give us the idea. Pre means that is before the menstruation, and syndrome. Syndrome, that is a group of signs and symptoms which affects the health of the women or girls. Okay. Premenstrual syndrome, that is in short it is known as the PMS. It is a combination of physical and emotional symptoms. Means under the PMS there are so many physical and emotional symptoms that many women get after the ovulation. Okay, so PMS, that is premenstrual syndrome, that is before menstruation but it is after the period of the ovulation. Okay, that is approximately 14 days after the menstruation. Okay, so 14 after the 14 days still the women they are having the menstruation. That period, it's a period of the premenstrual syndrome. Okay, it is after the ovulation and before the start of their menstrual period. Okay, so that's period between the ovulation and the menstrual period, that is chances that the sign and symptoms, that is of physical and emotional, it can appear under the PMS. Now definition. Premenstrual syndrome, it is a combination of physical, psychological, emotional and mood disturbance. Okay, physical, you know that there are changes in the physical means body. Psychological means mood, thought process are changing. Emotional means the girls they are getting upset. Then mood disturbance, they are not able to uh, properly be happy or sometimes not concentrating. So that are the changes that after a woman's ovulation, and it's typically ending with the onset of the menstrual flow. Okay, so these symptoms that are physical, psychological, emotional and mood disturbance, they will start after the ovulation and they will end at the onset of the menstrual flow. Means whenever the girls or women they are having menstruation, they are stopping of this all the symptoms. Okay, PMS has a wide variety of signs and symptoms. They are including mood swings, means there are changes of the mood, tenderness in the breast will become tender, food craving, means they have the varieties of taste, fatigue, they are feeling fatigue, irritability, that is mood irritable, and depression. Okay. It is estimated that as many as 3 of every 4 menstruating women they are experiencing some of the premenstrual symptoms. Okay. So these are the common signs and symptoms. There is mood swing, tenderness in the breast, food craving, fatigue, irritability, and the depression. Types. There are mainly 4 types of premenstrual syndrome. There is mild, moderate, severe, and PMDD. Mild, the voice does not interfere with the personal, social, and professional life. Okay? Means there are no any effects of premenstrual syndrome on the personal, social, and professional life of the girl or woman. Moderate, they interfere with personal, social, and professional life, but still they able to function and they are able to interact in a normal way. Okay, so these things they are affected, but they are able to function and interact well. Severely, they are unable to interact personally, socially, and professionally. Means they like to withdraw from social and professional activities. And last, PMDD, that is a premenstrual dysphoric disorder, that is a severe form of premenstrual syndrome. Okay, so 4 types: mild, moderate, severe, and PMDD. In mild, it does not affect the personal, social, professional life. Moderate, they are affected but they are able to function and interact. Severely withdraw from the social and professional activities. And PMDD, that is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, severe form of the premenstrual syndrome. Now causes. What can cause a premenstrual syndrome? Exactly what causes premenstrual syndrome, it is unknown. but several factors they may contribute to the condition. That is a cyclic changes in the hormones. Okay, as we have discussed in the menstrual cycle, that before ovulation some other hormones are there, after ovulation some other hormones are there. There are so many hormones which are regulating the menstruation. Okay, so if there are changes in the hormonal level, then they can cause a premenstrual syndrome. Signs and symptoms of premenstrual syndrome, it changes with the hormonal fluctuations and they disappear with pregnancy and sometimes the menopause. Okay, so in the pregnancy and at the time of menopause, that is a hormone will be less produced. Okay, so there are changes or cyclic changes in the hormone, they are affecting the premenstrual syndrome. Chemical changes in the brain. Okay, brain, in that you know that the neurotransmitters are there. Okay, so fluctuation of serotonin, a brain chemical that is a neurotransmitter, that's a thought to play a crucial role in the mood states and could trigger the PMS symptoms. Insufficient amounts of serotonin, it may contribute to premenstrual depression as well as the fatigue, food craving, and sleep problems. Okay? So chemical changes in the brain, and that the changes in the neurotransmitter, that is the serotonin, and insufficient amount of this brain content, it may contribute to a depression, fatigue, food craving, and sleeping problems. Next, it is depression. Okay? Some women with severe premenstrual syndrome, they have undiagnosed depression. They thought depression alone does not cause all of the symptoms. Next, that is poor eating habits. If the some girls or women they are having very poor eating habits, there are chances of they are having malnutrition, anemia, lack of vitamins and minerals. It can also lead to a premenstrual syndrome. Next, that is the genetic factor. Means if the genetics means the mother or mothers they are affected, then the girls they are having chances that they can affect with the premenstrual syndrome. Risk factors, uh, history of depression or mood disorder, means if there are any past history of depression, history of mood disorders such as postpartum depression or bipolar. Postpartum, that is after delivery, the mothers they are suffering from the depression or bipolar disorder that you learn in the psychiatry. Next, a family history of premenstrual syndrome, family history of depression and domestic violence case, substance abuse are there, physical trauma and emotional trauma. Okay, so these factors they can lead to a increased risk of the premenstrual syndrome. Next, some associated conditions are there which increase the risk of the premenstrual syndrome. And that first, that is dysmenorrhea. Okay, dysmenorrhea, that is a pain during the menstruation. Okay, so if any girls they are having, that is associated condition, means that can be present and they can increase the risk of the premenstrual syndrome. Schizophrenia, that is a psychiatric disorder, that is dissociative identity disorder. Anxiety disorders, they are also comes under the psychiatry. It's feeling of worry, anxious, and the fear. Seasonal affective disorders, that is the types of depression related to the changes in the season. And depressive disorders, that is a persistent feeling of the sadness. Okay? So these are the associated conditions which can trigger or which can increase the risk of the premenstrual syndrome. Next, there is a pathophysiology of the premenstrual syndrome. Premenstrual syndrome, it occurs during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle. Okay? The luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, that is occurs after the ovulation, and it may last from 14 to 20 days or up to when the menstruation or onset of menstruation has been started. During the luteal phase, the hormones from the ovary, it causes the uterine lining to become thick and spongy. Okay, because that is a time after the ovulation. So there are chances that there is a conception of the pregnancy. So the uterine lining they will become thick and the spongy. At the same time, the egg is released from the ovary. And if the egg meets the sperm, then it may implant in the lining of the uterus and at this time, the progesterone will rises in the body while the estrogen begins to drop. Okay, because we learn the function of the progesterone, that is to prepare the uterus for the conception. Okay, so that's about the pathophysiology. I am repeating. It occurs during the luteal phase of the menstruation after the ovulation and from 14 to 28 days or onset of the menstruation. In that time, the ovary causes the uterine lining. They become thick and spongy. At the same time, the egg is released from the ovary. If it met with the sperm, then fertilization is there, and it may impart in the lining of the uterus, and it can grow. At the same time, the progesterone will rises if there is a fertilization, while the estrogen begins to drop. Next, symptoms. Okay, premenstrual syndrome, under that we have discussed that there are so many physical, emotional, behavioral changes are there. Okay, so first that is emotional and behavioral signs and symptoms. Okay, the girls or women, they can express attention, anxiety, depression, mood means depression, crying spells, that means they can unusual crying, mood swings and irritability or anger. The mood they are changing, appetite changes, and food craving is there. Trouble falling asleep, that is insomnia, they are unable to sleep. Social withdrawal, they are not like to speak with the social members. Poor concentration, they are not able to concentrate on work, study, or job. Changes in the libido. Libido, that is a sexual drive, it is also changes. So these are the emotional and behavioral signs and symptoms. Continue. Anger and irritability is there. Oversensitivity means they are very overly sensitive, and dysphoria, that is unhappiness, they are not able to be happy. Okay. Next, it is physical signs and symptoms. Okay. Before that, we have seen the emotional and behavioral. Now, physical means what are the physical changes in the body? Joint or muscular pains. The, all the terms they are easy to understanding, so I am not explaining that. Next, that is a headache, fatigue, weight gain, that is related to the fluid retention, abdominal bloating, breast tenderness, acne, that is flare-ups, constipation or diarrhea, and alcohol intolerance if they are having the habits. Okay, so these are the physical signs and symptoms of the premenstrual syndrome. Next, how we can diagnose the premenstrual syndrome. Okay, and that nothing, any proper test is available that by which we can diagnose the premenstrual syndrome, but to keep a menstrual diary means that is only experienced by the mothers. Okay, because sometimes behavioral, emotional changes, physical changes, these all things they are only and only experienced by the mothers. Okay, so only the method is to keep the menstrual diary up to date with all the signs and symptoms, which are the physical changes they experiencing. They need to note it, which are the psychological changes, emotional changes, behavioral changes. All the things need to be recorded in their diary to identify the premenstrual syndrome. Next, that is a management of the premenstrual syndrome. Okay, so in the management, what we can do, that is some basic things are there. Drinking a plenty of fluids. Okay, so they need to drink a lots of fluids, that is water, fruit juices, or other liquids to ease the abdominal bloating. Eating a balanced diet, because one cause we have seen, that is a improper diet in that lack of minerals or vitamins. Okay, so mothers they needs to eat a balanced diet to improve the overall health and overall energy level. Means eating plenty of fruits and vegetables and reduce the intake of sugar, salt, caffeine, and alcohol. Okay, so these things need to be reduced or they need to be stopped. There is sugar, salt, caffeine, and alcohol, and beneficials they are fruits and the vegetables. Next, supplements means vitamin supplements such as folic acid, vitamin B6, calcium, and magnesium. They are very helpful to reduce the cramps, means abdominal cramps, leg cramps are there, headache is there, so they are helps to reduce the cramps and the mood swings. Okay, so role of supplements is there. Next, with these supplements, vitamin D is very helpful. Okay, so we need to explain regarding the sources of vitamin D and sun exposure. Sunlight exposure is very necessary. Next, adequate rest and the sleep. Okay. Sleeping at least 8 hours per night to reduce the fatigue. Next, exercises. Exercises, they are very important to decrease the bloating and improve the mental health or mental status. Next, reduction of the stress. So many stress reduction activities are there. For example, yoga, deep breathings are there, thought exercisings are there, reading is there, some diversional therapies are also there. So they help to reduce the stress level. Next, cognitive behavioral therapy, they also help to reduce the stress and which has been shown to be very effective. Okay. Other supplements, that is, we have already seen that folic acid supplements, vitamin B6 supplements, calcium supplements, magnesium, vitamin D supplements, and ibuprofen. This is a analgesic. Rest, they are the multivitamin and the calcium supplements, which are very helpful to reduce the signs and symptoms of the premenstrual syndrome. Okay. So that is all about the premenstrual syndrome. In that we have seen first the definition. There are so many physical, psychological, behavioral changes. Next we have seen the types: mild, moderate, severe, and uh, PMDD. That is dysphoric disorders, severe form of PMS. Next, we have seen the causes. Next, risk factors, signs and symptoms. That's divided into two parts. And after that, the management of the premenstrual syndrome. In spite of these supplements, there are some other medications they are used to treat the symptoms of the premenstrual syndrome. That includes the diuretics. Diuretics, you know that the example is the Lasix, which increase the flow of the urine. Okay, so if there is a weight gain or excessive swelling or bloating is there, then diuretics are administered to a patient. Next, analgesics. Okay, because we have seen in the signs and symptoms that there are menstrual cramps, headache is there, pelvic discomforts are there. So analgesics, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they are the drug of the choice in that ibuprofen that we have seen. Next, oral contraceptives, because this medication they stop the ovulation and sometimes they offer the release from the premenstrual syndrome. Okay, and these are, as you know, that these are the birth control pills. Next, ovarian suppressions are there. So ovarian suppressions, they are also a drug of the choice. They suppress the ovarian hormone productions and they are available in the form of the injection. Next, antidepressants are there, as we have seen that the patients they are suffering from the depression. So antidepressant medication they are also very helpful. Okay, so commonly used medication in that first it is the diuretics, analgesics, oral contraceptives, ovarian suppressors, and antidepressants medications they are given. Okay, so that's about the premenstrual syndrome. In sometimes the premenstrual syndrome, it is also known as the premenstrual tension. Okay, if you have asked about PMS or PMT, so both questions they are same, that is premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual tension. Hmm? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Thank you.